Hey everybody, it's Coach Jan, and today we're going to do a hip routine, Tai Chi exercises, some Kung Fu exercises to really get the hips a little bit more flexible and strengthen them, and will be helpful also in Judo if you do any throwing arts, but specifically Judo, hip checking, hip tossing. These exercises are going to be super helpful. So without further ado, let's go for it. So we'll start palms facing flat down, the feet shoulder width apart. Weight mostly on the center of each heel. The feet are parallel. Imaginary string lifts you from the top of the head. And the tailbone will soften and drop down. Once you feel that string lift you up, relaxation cascades down the spine, down through the tailbone, as if each vertebrae is getting farther and farther apart from the last, gently falling down like you're suspended from the heavens. You're going to have a slight feeling of floating in the heart area. The chest will be very relaxed. The rib cage will relax, so you're not going to stick out the chest, but you'll feel a gentle expansion, really gentle in the heart space. And with that, the shoulders are down, but they're down and rolling slightly back. Not a pull back, but just visualize the shoulder blades being pulled down while the imaginary string pulls you up. That'll help to keep the shoulders soft and downward falling to the sides rather than forward or too far back. Same way, you're going to have a distance between the heel and the base of the skull. You're going to increase that distance. It's as if you're pushing through the legs, but rather than pushing it straightening because you want to keep this knee soft, you're going to reach through the curve, meaning that you're going to do your best to extend while maintaining a curve. And we've talked about this in the past. An overt example of that is reaching through a hook, like a hook shape, a long hook. If you're throwing hook, punch, you're extending through the curve all the way here. Or you could use this as an opportunity to train that idea. So you're going to maintain the curve and push through the heels to the base of the skull and feel that distance increase. Mouth remains closed, tongue gently placed on the ceiling of the mouth. Some people say the roof of the mouth, and I used to say that until someone corrected me. They're like, the roof of your mouth is your top of your head. And I'm like, you're brilliant, and that's correct. So I say the ceiling of the mouth, tongue gently placed on the ceiling of the mouth. Jaw softened, jaw muscles softened. And again, when you have that little lift and the pushing through the heels, your chin will naturally tuck in. Naturally tuck in. You want that. In yoga, they call it some people call it a neck lock. But I think the word lock is a little too strong. So you just want that position, and the eyes will remain forward. All the breathing into the lower dantian, specifically 3 finger lengths below the belly button. And all the breath, inhaling deep, giving the sensation of color to the breath. So you see, feel, and experiencing, gathering the belly, exhaling down the arms and the palms of the fingertips. Inhaling deep. Exhaling. When you exhale, push the color from the belly through the arms, down about an inch or two beyond the palms, and drop the hands. Soften all the organs. As you drop the hands, do your best to feel a release in the abdomen, in the organs themselves. So this is an excellent way to catalyze relaxation inside the body is by doing something externally that you allow to trigger, like a chain reaction internally. So as I soften my hands and let them float down, I'm intentionally releasing tension in my organs as much as possible. And I scan. I'll start here. I can bring my attention up to my heart in the same way, even behind my eyeballs, and my skull, brain. Now, And just feel the same release. The lower ab, the quad, the reproductive organs. Down even into the bones. The tension that you might feel in your bones. Ligaments. Inhaling up, lifting heaven. Exhale, push the collar out. Inhale up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. And all fists rested on the hips. Exhaling down. Inhale, breath lifts you up. Eyes on the belly button. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling. Inhale up. Hold. Exhale. Fall a little bit farther. Inhale. Lift on the side that you're compressed on. So you feel the compression here. Lift up and do your best to straighten your spine on an angle coming out of the lower dantian. Not too harshly straight, just intentionally. Inhale deep and exhale, roll back. Inhale again, do your best to straighten the spine a bit. Exhale, sink a little lower and let the body roll to the other side. And then inhale, expand the side that you're compressed on. An intentional straightness. Not a hard muscle lock, but just intentionally lifting up as if the strings pull you on an angle. Notice my legs remain bent, and that even though I'm favoring one side, I haven't shifted to that side. I'm still saying, doing my best to keep the legs equally bent. Inhale, exhale. One more breath. The breath should feel like a rope as you're climbing, and then exhaling, releasing that rope. So you get the color and reverse. Breath lifts you up. Exhale. Inhale up. Hold. Exhale, fall. Inhale, open up the side that you're compressed on. Exhale, fall back. Inhale, straighten, open it up. Exhale, fall to the other side. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fall back. Dropping the hands down. Inhaling up. Exhaling out. Inhale deep. Exhale. Bring the hands on the hips. This is really basic. And we're going to bring the hands on the hips and bring them to the back. Inhaling deep. And exhale, we're going to push, gently lean forward and push and support. We're going to support let the pressure support with the hands back. Don't push too much. Inhaling deep. Exhale. From here, we're going to slide one hand to the side and exhale, pushing over. We're going to push one direction and lean the other. Inhale deep, slide the hands to the front. Exhale, push on the hips back. So my hands are pushing back as I lift my chest forward. And then my hand will slide to the other side, one hand, and push as I lean up. Inhaling. Exhale. And my hands shift to my back. And again, shift to the other side, pushing through. My hips go one way, it's the push, and my body goes the other way. And feel a gentle stretch, pushing on the front of the hips. Inhaling as you come up, and my hands switch to the sides again, and pushing through the other side. And leaning back, supporting the back. Here, you can push the hips forward, feel the stretch in the abdomen, and open the rib cage. Very gentle. And then reverse it. Exhale. Pushing through. And then down and forward, pushing back. Right on the hip. Then on the sides. Inhaling as I come up. Exhaling as I go back, supporting the back. Hands support. And as I exhale and go back, I'll take a moment and I'll inhale and expand the chest and the ribcage to feel the stretch. And then I'll exhale again. Pushing. Exhale even deeper. Inhaling up. Hands on the side. Push through. Exhaling back, support the back. Inhale, feel the stretch. Exhale, slide to the other side. Stretch. And exhaling even deeper. And come up and shorten it. And now we're going to just keep the hand from the hips. And we're going to start making circles, not as extreme with the bending, but more so moving around and really do your best to get that full circle. And we're going to make this big at first, and then we're going to make it small. Big. You can do 5 times in reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Big circles. I'm just going to talk through this for a second. Really do your best to visualize the circle that you're painting with your hips as if you're painting on the floor. So you're drawing a circle on the floor with the hips as if it's a paintbrush. And now we're going to reverse it. We're going to make it smaller again. Even smaller still. And very small circles. Again, like you're painting on the ground with a paintbrush. And reverse it. And now we're going to use the hip rather than pushing and making the big circle as if it's one piece. We're going to start to use the hip here. Use the hip and keep the hand from the upper body as still as possible. And try to use the hip and rotate the hips just themselves. From the side, rotate just the hips. So you'll feel your lower back engage. You'll feel the basically obliques engage. You'll feel groin area, muscles here engage. And you feel it on the other side. And just really make that circle and do your best to keep the rest of the body still. Not stiff, but still, so that the emphasis is on this very subtle rotation. And then reverse it. And really feel the work being done in the muscles. And fingers on the temple, on the top of the head. We're in this little teapot movement where we're going to drop the elbow toward the hip and bring the hip up toward the elbow. So here, 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Feel the compression. 1, 2. And when one's going down, when you're crunching on one side, feel the other one extend. Feel the distance between the rib cage, through the rib cage, all the way through the hip, extending through the elbow. And start speeding it up. Really feel, and start moving the awareness while you're doing this through the rib cage. Feel where any tension might be in the ribs. And just start to release it. If you find it tough to release that tension, inhale into lower dantian while you're doing this. See the color gather. And exhale slowly into those areas that you feel a tension. And with the intent, pushing the color visualization into those areas as you exhale, with the intent of melting the tension away. And soften. And now let's do a hip check exercise. The hip check in Judo, like this. You might see someone stick one side of the hip out onto an opponent's hip And there are many different reasons to do this. You might do this behind somebody to stop them from throwing you, meaning they're going to throw you and you throw your hip in to counterbalance the pressure that they're trying to pull you over on. So they're pulling your upper body, you throw your lower body in, and you check that pressure with this counterbalancing force. So let's do very, very soft hip checks. So the hip check, it's going to be similar to this gentle roll that we did, but it's going to use similar muscle groups, but it'll be very sharp and tension forward. So we're going to exhale and push, and then you can see here, exhale and push. And if you do Muay Thai or any of those types of striking arts, you do knees or round kicks, you might notice that it looks a little bit or feels a little bit like this, or like you're throwing a round kick and spinning. So let's really focus on one here and then one on the other side. One, and I'm shifting my weight so that you can see I'm shifting my weight. And we'll do these first. I'm going to inhale, exhale through. Inhale, exhale through. More specific. Inhale, exhale, pushing the hip bone forward. Inhale, exhale, push the hip bone. Feel the stretch. You might feel a little stretch right here. Inhale, exhale, inhale. Very helpful in push hands, very helpful in any grappling art, and of course very helpful in any martial art overall. And do your best to get that rhythm going. Inhaling up, exhaling out. Inhaling up, exhaling out. Inhaling up, exhaling out. And when I say up, I mean my guard. I inhale, I exhale, like I'm doing a little pull here or a gentle tug. And if you do Tai Chi, the sticking, you can think of it as sticking. Exhale, I'm doing the sticking here and bringing the opponent's upper body or angling their upper body as I insert my lower body. Inhale, back to center, exhale. Or back to equilibrium, so you're back to your balance, feet shoulder length apart. Exhale, slide. Inhale. And if you want to be even more martial about it, you can keep one hand up, meaning your guard, which would make a lot of sense if you're doing strikes like a knee, etc. So one hip and up. And 3 more times each side. Feel the stretch. And now we're going to do a hip bump here. So this hip bump here is going to be more so with the side of the hip and the buttocks, because sometimes you might actually be pushing the essentially using your buttocks and your lower back area and shooting it into an opponent. So you might have to do that to into their belly, etc., to get them to exhale and lean over to give you more leverage for a throw. So there's a lot of times where that might happen, and that'll start the hip toss, etc. But there's also times where you may insert on the side and then sidestep to complete the throw, meaning that you might have a position here, you might step in and use the hip to check and to go right into their belly, and then step across and throw. So let's really focus on just that concept and that movement and step out and feel the hip. And you can use the hands to pull or to stick, gently guide across. I want to emphasize where it's coming from. So I have this little movement here. And here, inhaling up, exhale, here. Inhaling up, exhale here. Inhaling up, exhale. So I'm stepping wider into a half horse stance, and I'm sticking my hip out. And I'm even rolling the buttocks a little bit forward, pushing the hip. Inhaling up. And these little motions, this subtle awareness is super important because it gives you that much more control in how you're executing these particular moves. Whatever move you're attempting to execute, this setup for it is very, very important. And again, I'm not simply stepping to the side and out. I'm not simply bending my upper body. I'm intentionally breathing through the hip where we were pressing before. I'm breathing through this wonderful sharp hip bone here, boom, and turning out right here. Inhaling up, right there. Exhale and turn it out. I have my hands in this hugging the tree position from the Neigong, Qigong Neigong exercises. And this is intentional, as if I'm either holding, I have my hands underneath my opponent's armpits. That's a possibility. I might have one on the inside and one on the outside. I may have both arms on top of their shoulders. I might be holding their shoulders, holding a gi or a jacket. So here, inhaling up, here. And notice this is similar to these exercises that we've done in the past as well, this crank exercise. Very, very similar, but the crank is upper body timing throw. Well, they're all upper body timing throws. The crank has more of an emphasis on shoulder control without the need for the hip insertion. And this is more of a hip toss or a side hip toss, or the setup for a side hip toss. Step in, step across, complete it. So, inhaling up, exhale. Inhaling up, exhale, one, and really push out. Inhaling up, exhale. Really feel the stretch in the hip. You have to emphasize that push. And you can overemphasize just to get a nice stretch. Inhaling up, exhale. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you do these types of judo exercises, the concept of cleaning a rug, like as if you're cleaning off a rug outside and you're shaking it, you should feel like that at times with the opponent's arms and body. So you're lifting them up to go underneath. So you wave them up and you go underneath. You wave them up, go underneath. Inhaling up. So just having a little bit more of emphasis on that sensation of the wave. Inhaling up, exhale, go underneath. Inhaling up, exhale, go underneath. Inhaling up, exhale, go underneath. One of my favorite judo throws I ever got was on a probably 6'5" guy, very strong. But I was training this thing under Oishi Judo in Tribeca, New York, Judo Olympian. This wonderful move of lifting the arms up and then shooting the hips in with a step. You do this nice little step, and you step in and then you turn the hip and you lift the opponent on the leg and you really just dump from there. It's like this beautiful lift and dump, but you're laying them like the plate, and the leg is aligned in that way. So, and it's on video. I have about 20 hours of US Tai Chi push hands team videos that I'll be posting this year and beyond. But it's in one of our last training sessions from the first US team that I was on. That was in 05. Actually, I think it was in 04. That video. So, and now let's come up and let's work on stepping the hip, checking and stepping behind. So the check will be here and the step behind. And oftentimes you might call, there are many different terminologies for this. And some people call it stealing steps. And so a check and a stealing, 1, 2, 3. Check, stealing step, behind. And so the footwork can be a little confusing because there's a kind of a 1, 2, 3 rhythm. So the first move, you're going to step around an opponent. Or actually, in fact, the first move is you're going to check the opponent's hip. So oftentimes you might do this with an opponent, with a partner, and the partner will try to throw you. You'll hip check the partner, and then you'll step in front of them. So you're behind their body, going to hip check, and we can actually go 1, 2, and then you're going to try to throw them. They're going to do the same thing to you, hip check you, and try to throw you. But we're going to do it on our own. So hip check the opponent, left leg, right leg, stealing step around, and toss. And really feel the stretch. And now we're going to check the opponent, right leg, left leg, stealing step around, and toss. Really feel that twist. And then we're going to reset. We're going to do it with the right leg, right hip, checking, left foot step, small step forward, right foot step, stealing step around. So that stealing step is just like in the Tai Chi form where you come inside and around and out. But we're going to shift our weight forward. So I've shifted onto the leg I just moved. And then I'm going to open up the back leg and turn the front leg. And we'll do that again. Resetting. We'll start with the right leg. Right leg opens up and right hip check. The same check we were doing here is now going to be done on a wider. Notice that we're doing still the same kind of check. Even if you're lower, boom. Wider, still the same thing. Some people might check without moving their knee. I don't necessarily recommend that because you can tweak your knees. And so I do recommend a slight pivot anytime you check. You might do a little check like that here on the base leg, meaning the leg that you're not going to pivot on or the majority of your weight is on. Those types of checks look like this, and it's totally fine, but I do recommend lifting and pivoting when you can as much as possible. It's better to check than to not check and get thrown. So if you can't pivot, that's fine, but recommend. So step wide, right hip. So horse stance, right hip check, left foot steps forward, right foot stealing step around your opponent. So it goes from behind your opponent. You obviously can't step through because their leg is probably right here. So you step around their leg and in front of it. And now you can pulse. So you have this little toss right here and boom, just throw right over. And now let's reset for the left leg. Left leg, left leg check, and the right foot steps out to give you a little space, and it also sets up the 45-degree angle for the foot so that you can turn into it for the throw. So you step, stealing step around the left leg, and toss. And notice when I toss, I do these very gentle pulling positions. One is a push, and another one is a pull. My finger, this is pulling my backhand. My other hand is reaching across as if I'm pushing. Boom. One pulls, one pushes with the hip and the waist. And then a reset. Whatever side you're on, that's the side we're going to. I'm opening my back foot up again to a horse stance, and my right hip checks. My left foot steps forward on a 45-degree angle, and my right foot stealing step around. I plant myself to give a little rhythm to the opponent, and then I lift them back up. So I bring the opponent down, and then I lift them over this leg. And then reset, sinking down to a horse stance. Left hip check. Right leg steps forward with a slight 45-degree angle foot. I stealing step around and toss. Stealing step around, down, and toss. Let's do this from the back so you can see how it would look like on the back. So dropping down and the right hip, check. Left foot steps forward. So you're gonna feel a little pulse. 1, down, 2, step, 3, stealing step across and throw, 4. And now reset. Dropping down, hip check. From the hip check, a little softening in the same leg that you check so that you can step that foot 45 degrees. This is a very important fast step. So it'll be a check, 1, 2, a little bounce, check, boom, here. Step around, drop the opponent down, bring them over. And then whatever side that you're on, we're going to drop, check. check, little drop down again, step, out 45, stealing step across the opponent, drop them down, and turn them across. And let's do it one more time. And we'll start on the left leg this time. My left leg widens. I have my opponent here. Again, you can keep your hugging the tree stance or arms, which really just keep turning to either side. Have my hugging the tree arms, sink, and check. Push that hip forward, really feel the stretch, and exhale, drop down. Steal the first step, 45 degrees. That little bit of space that you just gave yourself forward is giving you that much more space to go around the leg. So it could be slightly out if you want. If you need more space, you step around, bring the opponent down. They're going to want to stand up. You help them stand up and turn them over. And now, dropping down and check. Actually, we're going to check with the leg that we drop down. Boom. Step across, stealing step, drop them down, and over. And now, switching sides. Check, back down, step, shift away, stealing step, back down, and then turn across. And whatever side you're turning onto, that's the side you're going to check with next. Check, drop down, step, shift away, stealing step across, drop down, and bring across. And one more time. Check, really feel the exhalation through the hip right here. This is going to be probably onto one side or the other side of the opponent's buttocks, and slightly above as well. It might be onto their hip line, lower back area. But essentially, you want to choose a side. You've seen my Tai Chi Valentine's Day video. You'll see that I do this for a clean and drop move. That you can still do the hip check and then release the opponent, and they'll fall into that space. So it's fun. So here, checking, drop down, step the other leg, stealing step across, drop the opponent down, and then inhaling up, exhaling, dropping across. And inhale up. And we're going to do one more hip softening exercise. We're going to do, this is the crank, but adapted to shoulder length apart. We've done this in the past. Exhale, do a nice little dump. Inhaling up. So we're going to soften the hip. It's going to melt away like butter. Inhale up. Keeping the hands again in this hugging the tree posture, but it's going to angle down as you turn. One hand is pulling, the other one's pushing. Inhaling up, inflating the bottom hand like a balloon. Exhale. One pushes, one pulls. Inflate as you inhale the bottom hand. Exhale. The hip melts away. So wherever you see your hip, you should be able to see it disappear. Now you can see everything behind it. That's where the opponent goes. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Closer. Exhale down. Eye on the middle finger of the top hand. Inhaling up. Do your best to keep your spine straight. It's only angled because the pelvis is rotating on the femur, but the spine remains straight. Inhaling up. Again, anytime I say straight, I don't mean rigid like a board. I mean intentionally straight. So there might be some gentle curves. There might be some undulating movement to agree with the motion that you're creating and the rhythm of the opponent. Two more times each side. And for good measure, let's keep the feet shoulder length apart. And feet are anchored into the ground, head is straight. Gentle massaging on the kidneys, liver and spleen. And now release one leg. gentle banging. Very, very gentle banging. And now we're going to drop down and up, and we're going to go over. One arm goes over the shoulder. The front arm is going to go over and wrap around and tap the back shoulder. So you can see from the back. And now release the head and turn it in the same direction. And now back to just left and right, no up and down. This time the head goes with the whole body. Do your best to keep that imaginary string sensation happening the entire time. And once I can feel the difference in just reminding myself of it, our posture has made a significant but subtle adjustment just by reactivating. And now the feet stay planted, but the head can move. And again, imaginary string lifting you up. And let's get the arms forward. The hands will be very relaxed. The fingers will whip down and then they'll whip up. 2. And every 5, you're going to pump the knees. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 2 more sets. 1 more set. And inhaling up, uplifting heaven. One more. Inhale, reach across. Exhale. Inhale, reach across. Open up. Exhale, behind the back. Inhale. Reaching down, over. Exhale. Inhaling up. Exhale. Feet 2 fists apart. Inhaling up. Fingers reach the back wall. Chest to the ceiling. Hips forward. Weight on the toes. Exhale, butt back. Fingers forward. Soften the knees. Inhaling up. Fingers back, chest up. Hips forward. Weight on the toes. Exhale. Butt back. Fingers forward. Inhaling out. 1 foot forward. Exhaling down. Touch the toe. Inhaling up. Switch. Exhaling down, touch the toe. Inhaling up, switch 45 degrees. Inhaling down, touch the toe. Inhaling up, switch 45 degrees. Exhale down, touch the toe. Inhaling up, switch 90 degrees. Exhale down, touch the toe. Inhaling up, 90 degrees. Exhale down, touch the toe. Inhaling up, both feet going into the toes. Exhale, washing my leg down in front. Inhale, draw the wet line to the belly, turn to your right. Exhale down. Inhaling up, turn to the left. Exhale down. Inhaling up over the top of the head. Exhale down. Back. Slap it up. Inside row. Outside. Inside. Turn. Now the outside. Shoulders. And the back. Just the fingertips. Exhale down. Just the fingertips. And put the hands together around the chest. Exhaling, pushing the collar, breath work through the chest, through the muscles, through into the lungs, and tapping around pectoral major.
And massage into the muscles, the pressure points. Really letting the fingers get into the lymph nodes, into all the nerves, and floating rib up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. 4 fingers on sternum. 1. Strong pressure. U shape on the collarbone. Knuckles in the lower back. And massage the kidneys. Down. Up. And then reverse it. Down. And then up. For the hormones, squeeze and hold. Other side. For sleep. Immune system, index and middle finger, up, over, down, under, strong pressure on the ears. And then up on the face, and to the side, up, to the side, release, up, to the side, release, up, side, release, and fingers to the scalp. Front to back, back, front, back, back, front, massage. Front to back, back to front. And that's a slapping, back, front, hollow fist, gentle banging, back, front, grab the scalp, knead it like dough, and another patch, another patch, another patch, and reverse it, another patch, another patch, and go opposite directions. And then reverse it. 4 fingers at the top of the forehead. And reverse it.
Trying to read this income tax things.
And temples. And then reverse it under the eyes. And reverse it. And for the heart. And other side. Top and bottom. Switch. And the grooves above the teeth. 1, 2. And below. 1, 2. Tongue. Reverse it. Flick the fingers out. Thumbs. 1, 2, 3. Grab. Press and hold. And drill. 1, 2, 3. And tap. Each circle bigger. Circle biggest. Top and bottom. And sides. Top and bottom, and sides. Massaging top and bottom of the finger, and then the side. Top and bottom, and sides. Top and bottom, and sides. Press and hold, and drill. 1, 2, 3, tap. 1, 2. Second circle, third circle, biggest. 3. Top and bottom, and sides. Top and bottom, and sides. Top and bottom, sides. Top and bottom, sides. Top and bottom, and sides. And then 1, 2, 3, and grab. 1, 2, 3. Inhale, white light to the belly. We're going to use sound to wash the bone marrow, wash the visualization through the bone marrow. Inhale, white light, spread through the whole body, especially the bone marrow, white light, with the sound pop. Inhale, white light up the front, toes to the top of the head. Exhale, roll it down the back and cascade the light down with the sound. Inhale, roll the attention up the left side, top of the head, and then roll down the right, head to toe, with the sound. Inhale, white light to the belly. Push it down the ground, down the legs into the ground, and come back up and around like a fountain in reverse. Let the sound penetrate the environment. One more time, white light to the belly. Push to the top of the head, let it come out in all directions, making a big bubble around you.
Have gratitude for the body, see the light inside, and all around you. Gratitude for the space and the people in your life. Thank you guys as usual for training. Love you guys.